Today is May 29th, 2022. I'm just enjoying some coffee, sitting in my studio, and really just taking in this space. I feel like the last couple of months, my studio has gone through so many different changes, really diving into this Sunrise series and also just diving into life a bit. I feel like when it comes to the artwork in my series, I really thought I would be in a different position with the physical pieces themselves than I am now. But the past few months have kind of been a whirlwind for life outside of the studio. Having weddings and traveling, I did get really sick for a few weeks, so that obviously affects my creative process. And just learning as an artist that is part of it. That's part of the process. Our life outside of the studio will affect our creative energy and our creative practice. So even though I thought I would be having more studio time or prioritizing more studio time in the past few weeks, I'm really proud of where this series is coming along. I feel like I'm exploring a lot of new elements, especially working on smaller pieces as well as larger. I'm kind of doing the whole range of scale, which is one thing that I, from a art making standpoint, have been struggling a bit. I think I kind of challenged myself a lot with different variables. So doing pieces as small as 4 by 4 inches, as big as 3 foot by 3 foot. And as I talked about previously, I typically work on panel, which is like a hardboard texture. So when you use a palette knife or even like brushes make different marks on panel than if you were to use canvas. And so canvas is typically what most people think of, but I really enjoy panel. I tried doing a couple pieces on canvas and I'm still not opposed to the idea of using canvas, but right now I'm really struggling with it. I think just because you have to interact with the medium in such a different way. So if you think of a palette knife where you're like scraping the surface of a panel, because it's a hard board and a hard piece of metal, you get a little resistance. Like the panel pushes back on you, but a canvas, it just gives. So you can't get the same type of mark. The whole process honestly is a lot different. And I find the panels a lot more satisfying, both from an end product and a process standpoint. So I'm not giving up on canvas, but I still just have to learn how to manage my expectations and how to use the material for what it's intended to be and not try to make a canvas a panel, if that makes sense. Also scale. I really like the idea of exploring a wide range of scales. Over the past couple of weeks, I've really been working in a like 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 size, kind of treating smaller pieces as studies for the larger work. So the Sunrise series started off with a mission of a series of 12 3 foot by 3 foot panels that will be on display at the Garner Performing Arts Center in March of 2023. And so I see it expanding a lot more than just that series of 12, but that's kind of like the end goal with them. And then it'll keep evolving as our work does as creatives. And so I really was doing these smaller studies that I found super helpful in my creative process, rather than diving straight into the large panels. So even though it is halfway through the year or almost halfway, and I thought I would have 6 of the 12 done by then, I feel like really diving into the creative process has been helpful with doing those studies, taking the pressure off of like, this has to be one of the final pieces, and just really investing time and energy to what this end series will look like, how will it feel, making a lot of those decisions up front, and also like, what is it about? I feel like that's been one of the blessings of time outside of the studio, which kind of sounds like they could be opposing elements, but with being sick, all I could really do was stay at home and sit in my thoughts, and I was journaling a lot, which definitely influenced the series. It's kind of shifted my mindset and relationship with it. Also just being outside, it's the start of summer, so a lot of time outside in the sun, being active, moving my body, which definitely affects my creative process too. So really having a series that's about the sunrise, where the color elements are all painted before sunrise, influenced by the colors of the sunrise, and really having those gestural marks be almost describing the human experience, the most pure form of non-restricted being. And then as the day progresses on, in these pieces, I add geometric lines. So after the sun rises, as it feels like the world is waking up, I start introducing sharp geometric lines over top of that human experience, the rigid structure of modern society, so to speak. And they're both necessary in our balance as human beings, but really, what does that relationship look like? What parts of the pure human form lend itself to the structure? What parts of the structure help highlight beautiful areas of the human existence underneath? And so they really exist together in a balance. And so one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is also potentially obstructing the view more than just the geometric lines, using transparent elements, transparent shapes with glazing, like obstructing the view of what is underneath to various degrees. And that's one thing I'm super excited to explore. I'm not sure if I will start with the larger panels with that or continue with the studies, but I did get 4 of the 3 foot by 3 foot panels in, which I'm very excited about, because that was another bottleneck in the creative process is supply chain issues. And so getting large panels of the exact size, the exact finish, texture, surface that I would want took a few weeks to come in. So I have 4 of the 12 right now, and I will be ordering the other 8 so that by the time I'm done these 4, I will have them in the studio to do. So I am super excited about that, especially just incorporating this new energy into the series. And so that's really my goal for the next couple of weeks, really diving into those large panels. Also want to explore more of a different scale, not only working small, but maybe non-square. The one canvas that I was working on, that's part of the finished series, is a non-square, which if you've been following my work for a while, you know is very different for me. So I'm excited to explore that too, and what that can look like within this larger series, the relationship from one piece to the next, especially after rehanging my gallery wall in my studio and really seeing them hung all together shifted my perception of the series drastically too, in a really good way. Really having the limited color palette, it all is cohesive, and you can really see pieces side by side and how the larger narrative comes about with the role that each individual painting plays. So each painting doesn't have to say the entire concept of the whole series, but they're each integral parts of the series. So I'm super excited for the new works that will come about. Definitely gonna be prioritizing more morning studio time now that I am feeling better, got my energy back, got other aspects of my life in order. And I'm just so excited to see what these pieces become, bring some new color into the studio space, and slowly continue bringing this series to life. So thank you so much for watching and being along this journey with me. I really appreciate it, and cheers.